regrets. I'm blessed to say the old me dead and gone away.
Hello and welcome. I am Laon, certified life coach and addiction recovery coach that teaches manifestation so then you can manifest the life of your dreams. We're going to get into this live about releasing beliefs and everything that you need to know about it. Okay, so I'm going to hop into the topic of releasing beliefs. So when we begin to consciously learn how to manifest or consciously reprogram our subconscious mind, a lot of times what you experience, bless you, Oliver, a lot of times what you experience is a emotion, bless you again, Oliver, an emotion explosion. That's what I call it. All of a sudden you feel all of these emotions coming up because you start listening to maybe a sleep track or doing self-talk or visualizing. And you're wondering, like, wait, hold up. Why am I going through these emotions when I'm deciding to be a different version of me? When I'm listening to sleep tapes, reprogramming my mind? Well, a little bit of science is when you have a neuron in your brain, that's the pattern that creates the belief and holds the belief into place. When you fire a neuron, it wires together through an emotion. So these beliefs, these memories, and these patterns are not only fired and continue to be reflected back to us, but they're wired together through an emotion. That's what keeps them into place. So when we are changing our beliefs, it doesn't matter how you're doing it. Again, the affirmation tapes, visualization, scripting, so on and so forth. When you change the belief to unwire that old pattern, guess what? You have to release the emotion. So it's actually a good thing when you start having these emotion explosions going on in your body, because that means that the neuron is dying off and that the new neuron is going to start forming and taking shape, right? It's going to begin to become wired into your brain, right? So in your subconscious mind has a new pattern to play out and be reflected back into your 3D. So that's why we experience the release of these emotions. Now, sometimes it's not an actual emotion. It's like maybe body aches, fatigue, maybe your diet starts to change where you're not eating as much. Sometimes you get like cold sweats or cold like symptoms, things like that. Again, that's energy moving around in your body and that neuron dying off and being released. So again, those are all good signs to say the reprogramming process is taking suit. It's happening. Okay. So it's not a scary thing when I say like, oh, you're going to feel all these emotions and da-da-da. No, it's not scary. You feel it, you allow it to be, and then you remind yourself, wait, it's just a neuron dying off. So it's not that big of a deal. So continue doing what you've been doing to get this progress to release that emotion. So continue doing the self-talk, continue doing the visualizations, and so on and so forth, because it's working. You're starting to allow that neuron to die off and the new neuron is beginning to wire together. And what you'll notice when the neuron starts to die off and you release these emotions, it's like a feeling of relief, or like a weight has been lifted off of your shoulders after you fully release the emotion. You don't have to force it. It just happens naturally. And it's like this weight has been lifted off, and you begin to feel lighter, you begin to feel better, and you start to evoke the emotions of the version of you who has the belief of what you do want. So say we're releasing the belief of not feeling chosen, and that always made you feel angry, made you feel really sad, made you feel jealous. Well, when we start to change our beliefs and that emotion gets released, you start to feel those emotions, you feel them for what they are. Okay, just old story. I know that it's just the neuron dying off, and continue to tell the new story. Well, I am chosen, I am chosen, I am chosen, right? Again, this is just an example. You don't have to affirm robotically like this. But say that you're changing the belief to I am chosen, and you release those emotions. What you'll notice is when you begin to have that self-talk of being chosen, you feel lighter. And then naturally the emotions of someone who's chosen start to come into place. And then it starts to wire that new neuron, that new pattern together, right? And then you start feeling like more relief, confident, secure, right? Because that comes with being chosen. And it's just a natural part of the process of releasing and then becoming this new version of you. Does all of that make sense, guys? inflammation. Yeah, I mean, you could experience, when you're releasing, sometimes like my body will get like achy, and I'll get like that achy feeling, almost like you're about to get sick, or like my joints popping. Like, I don't know, you could feel the energy moving. I just give it all the meaning of, oh, it's the neuron dying off. Energy and things are moving in my body where changes are happening, right? Yes, I've been feeling very anxious, but I've been changing my beliefs. Yes. Yep. That's very common. Anxiety coming up. That's why I like the nervous system regulation practices that I speak about. The breath work, EFT tapping. In the last live that I posted on YouTube, I had a client who did the vagus nerve behind their ear or something, stomping, somatic dancing and shaking. All of those things are signs. All of those things are helpful to regulate your nervous system and get rid of that anxiety while you're going through this process. But just sitting with the anxiety and being present, like a lot of times when I'm feeling anxious, I put my arms around myself, say I'm safe. I'm safe in my body. I know what's going on. Just a neuron dying. There's nothing to be scared of. I know the process. This is actually a beautiful thing. And when I tell myself that, it starts to go away, right? So I messaged my SP and then deleted it, and I said to myself that I'm always pursued, and he's always messaging me. Awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, it's stopping ourselves in those moments like, wait, I'm doing this out of old version. I don't need to lift a finger. My manifestation comes to me, and that's what a lot of people realize. Like, wait, if I have this God power within me, what the fuck am I doing chasing somebody? What am I doing texting them? Like, obviously, when you're in the relationship, you're going to have communication with them, but like going out and like trying to get their attention, it's like a different point of view, right? So it's taking that power back and recognizing, I don't need to do nothing. Let you come to me. I'm the queen, right? I love that. I'm much more aware of energy moving throughout my body. Yes, you will notice that. You become so much more, because we're going within, you become so much more in tune with your body. And it's in a good way, not a scary way. Like before, like manifestation, I was scared to be in my body. I didn't like it. I was always anxious. I was so uncomfortable with my skin. And not even because of like anything physical, it's just I felt so disconnected from my God self and disconnected from that mind and heart coherency, that once you start to reprogram and go within and stop paying attention to the 3D, you feel this connection to your body on a deeper level. So that's a really good sign that you continue to go within and not focus on your 3D. Are you in Atlanta? Do you work in person? No, all of my coaching is on WhatsApp. So I do the unlimited texting on WhatsApp, and my phone calls are either, you decide whatever you're comfortable with, but we do video calls or voice calls, just normal like phone calls, all on WhatsApp. So we can dive into everything. You don't even need to see me in person, because it's just communication. That's all I do with you to help you. What if they said they didn't want a relationship? Oh no, they said they don't want a relationship. Who cares? Who cares? If they're saying that they don't want a relationship, that's just an inner fear or an inner dialogue or an inner belief that you have been holding on to. It's just a story. So instead of saying, well, they said this, they said that, and giving your power away, what you're going to do is, it's like fishing. We caught the fish. We're going to reel that power right back in. It's a big one. Caught a big one. We're going to reel it right back in and recognize, wait, I'm creating that through my inner world. So what beliefs would you have to have? What thoughts and feelings would you have to have if you just heard the complete opposite? I do want a relationship with you. You're the only one I want a relationship with. What beliefs does that version of you have? What conversations do they have in their mind? Right? What are those thoughts like? What would it feel like to actually hear that from your person? That's who you need to start embodying. That's a state of consciousness you got to start having the perspective from. And when you're doing this, it's not about holding that state of consciousness. You're going to fall back out. You're going to notice things in the 3D. You don't have to be perfect at this. It's your job that when you fall back out and you start thinking these old thoughts or feeling these old feelings or experiencing things in the 3D that are kind of bothering you, it's your job to say, no. That's old story. That's old version. I'm going to return to the version of me that has my desire. And again, reminding yourself of those beliefs, those new beliefs, of those new thoughts, of those new feelings, and the behaviors of the version of you who has it. And that's it. That's all manifestation is. It's that new identity of the version of you who has the manifestation. So reel in that power. I know it had to hurt. It had to hurt your feelings, but it only hurt your feelings because it's a pattern in your brain that you've been experiencing before, of like that rejection. So if we want to break the pattern, we have to be a new version of us. The way that we do that is through self-talk, visualization, just making that decision, I'm now this new version. And continuing to return to that decision of I'm this new version. That's it. You can change your programming without hypnotherapy. Yes, you can. But hypnotherapy is extremely beneficial. Okay, I'm recently starting to play around with it. Kayla got me into it. If you guys don't follow Love Coach Kayla, go follow her. That's one of my really close friends. But so we've been playing around with hypnotherapy. And she introduced me to someone who does RTT hypnotherapy. So I recently went and did that. And now I'm trying NLP. And I think my first session's tomorrow. Because hypnotherapy is a fast-track way, for sure, to be able to reprogram your subconscious mind. But you do not have to do it, because anything that they do in hypnotherapy, you can do yourself. It's just working with the subconscious mind. I'm just doing it to play around. I think that it's going to be a different way, a different point of view. Plus, I want to start doing certifications and get my own hypnotherapy license. So I want to obviously know what the experience is like before I go and do it. So then I know what my clients are going through once I start offering it and have a full certification for it. But it's always been in the back of my mind to do so. So I've recently started playing around with it. If it's something that you want to do, then yeah, go for it. Make sure it's somebody that you trust and they have a good reputation and whatnot. Because again, they're playing with your subconscious mind. What beliefs do you want? You don't want to take on somebody else's. But yeah, you can do it all. Just sleep tapes. You can do it through visualizations, self-talk. That's how I've reprogrammed a lot of my beliefs, are those three, is like daydreaming about the version of me that I want to be and saying I am it now. The self-talk of this is who I am, this is how I would think, believe, so on and so forth. And sleep affirmation tapes or subliminals. Now I listen to subliminals and I do make custom subliminals. That way you don't hear the affirmations, but the affirmations still sink into your subconscious mind. Okay. So if that's the case, I'm going to assume, I could be incorrect here, but I'm going to assume, because I don't know your full story, I'm going to assume you were focusing on SP texts me, SP texts me, we're in communication all the time, he pursues me, SP does this, SP does that, focusing on SP, which is why he came in, right? But the reason why he's not replying and you're not getting consistent communication is because, let you know a little secret, you're not the version of you that receives it. Almost like you wouldn't know what to do if you got that consistent communication. It would be overwhelming for you, right? Even though that's what you want. So you have to become the version of you. What beliefs would you have to be the version of you that's pursued and gets consistent communication, loving communication, all of that? Who would you have to be? What thoughts would you be having? You would not be writing on lives, because, guys, comments are your thoughts, right? Comments are statements saying that this is true, this is what I'm experiencing. Okay? So every comment that you're saying, well, SP did this and then this happened, we're saying that's true, right? Instead of telling the story of what we do want. So instead, what we need to do is, what thoughts would you be thinking? You would not be on live telling me, SP messaged me and then didn't reply, You would be saying, I'm getting consistent communication. I'm just so happy I finally am getting that communication I've always wanted. He's so loving and kind towards me, and he's pursuing me. Like I wake up to good morning text from him. Right? Completely different language and inner talk that we'd be having compared to what your statement was. So it's being aware of what we're saying throughout the day and observing those thoughts, observing those statements, and deciding, is that what I want, or do I want a different story? You want a different story. So tell the story of what you do want. Again, it doesn't matter the technique you use, but putting your focus on that and being this version, not waiting to be this version, not wanting to be this version, actually being this version. Make sense? I don't listen or pay attention to anything in my 3D except if it's what you wanted. Yeah, that's awesome. As you should. That's how it should be. Is we detach from the 3D. We do the opposite of what we've always been told. The 3D is what's factual. The 3D is what you need to focus on. You need to work hard in the 3D to get what you want. You need to manipulate the people in your 3D to get what you want. No. You put blinders on to the 3D. Deny the senses, as Neville Goddard would say. Deny the senses and focus on you and that identity. Focus on the story of what you do want. Play around in your imagination. Have fun being this new version of you. And your 3D changes because it's just a hologram, right? So that's awesome that you're able to do that. That's where we need to get to in this journey at some point, but we don't have to force it. You can acknowledge your 3D and be like, ooh, yeah, that's so sorry, I don't want that. And then decide what you do want instead, right? Because your 3D is just a tattletale of where you've been at. Your 3D is just, again, that hologram to let you know where you're at. But it doesn't have to be who you are. So stop taking it personal. Stop taking your 3D and the things that are happening in it personal. And decide what you do want and be that version of you now. What is NLP? It's a form of hypnosis. So neuro-linguistic, how do you say it? Neuro-linguistics programming. So it's pretty much exactly what I'm talking to you about. You're changing the neurons in your brain, your subconscious mind, to then have a new programming installed. So say, it's almost like a computer. You have this old virus that's been sitting in your brain and it's not getting you anywhere. It's slowing things down, because you have this belief system that you don't want. So with hypnosis, a lot of times what you're able to do is go in and install a new programming, get rid of that, I'm calling it a virus, like the old story, the old you, a virus, and it eliminates that virus and it becomes, you can change beliefs like confidence. You can, the RTT hypnosis that I did was healing ailments and things like that. She's done so much work with people like that, like deafness, what was the other stuff? Deafness, skin problems, cancer, you name it. She was doing it. So there's all different forms of hypnotherapy. Just do some research on it. But yes, that's what that is. It's installing new programming of like confidence, feeling secure, feeling stable, your abandonment issues, things like that. But you can do all of this yourself. Any tips for when you're losing hope? If you're losing hope, then you're doing something to try to get someone or get something, get a desire, right? You're doing these things to make a change in your 3D. That's why you're losing hope, because you have the wrong point of view about this. So what we need to do, take a step back. If you're losing hope, okay, set everything down, abandon everything right now, and just relax, okay? Nothing's that urgent. I know it might feel that urgent, but it's not. We have to really just focus on us for this time, right? We're not doing things outside of us. We're not affirming for things outside of us. We are actually just being a change. And if you're losing hope, being a better version of you, that tells me that you don't have that point of view, because that's all we're doing. We're jumping to our highest timeline and being a better version of us. We're thinking better about ourselves. We're thinking better thoughts about our reality. We're believing better things of what we do want. We're feeling better. We're just making conscious decisions to make an internal change. And because we're doing that, it's going to have the external change. So how can you lose hope just focusing on you? You can't. That's how I know you're focusing on things outside of you, and that's why you're losing hope. So we have to have a change in our point of view and recognizing, I'm just changing me. I need to do this for me. I want to feel like I'm somebody who's confident, who's secure, who knows my worth, who falls in love with themselves. I want to be that version of me. And because you start to do this, again, through any technique that you want to, and you're having this internal change, focusing on you, it's going to be reflected back. And I just made a video about this. If you guys haven't seen it, it's on my TikTok. It's not the last video. I'm standing in the mirror. You'll see it. But it explains all of this perfectly on how you need to focus on you in the inner change of what who you want to be in that identity, and then it gets projected out. So I would come up with a whole new game plan of what you're doing. First, sit with yourself and just relax. Do some nervous system regulation and do some things that you love. Spend some time with some friends and begin to familiarize yourself with who you are, living your life again. Because I know manifestation, we get so caught up. We're going to sit home all day. Nobody fucking gets us. We're going to watch all these videos. We're going to read all of these books. We're going to make these big changes. And you become so consumed with manifestation that you actually lose yourself even more. So it makes sense why you're losing hope, right? Because we want our life to change so bad, yet we stop living it. What do you think living in the end is? It says it right in the thing. Living. You're living your life. What would you be doing if you had your manifestation? Not fucking sitting there consuming content day after day after day. No. Maybe here and there to keep you on track. But you'd be living your life. You'd be out with friends. You may be sitting at home and sitting in a clean environment. Maybe baking your favorite cookies, making your favorite dinner, taking yourself out to eat. Whatever it is that you would be doing, you'd be doing those things. So stop putting your life on hold and waiting for this manifestation to make you whole, waiting for your manifestation to fulfill you, and fulfill yourself. Live your life. What's your thoughts on people who check movement? If you're checking movement, then again, the power's still outside of you. How can you check for movement if you've already had the internal movement? Why would you be checking for movement if you already had your manifestation? Tells me you don't feel like you actually have it, right? So it's just that embodiment. You haven't fully embodied it. Doesn't mean that you can't do it. You can make a decision, right? You can say, I just checked my 3D. There's no movement, or so on and so forth. And I'm going to decide right now, no, there is movement. I'm going to decide right now I don't need to check for movement because I already have my manifestation. Instantly shifted to that reality. And it's continuing to do that and make that decision. And you'll notice you stop checking for movement because you already gave it to yourself within. You already are that identity. You're that consciousness that is perceiving their reality completely differently. How to not attach. Focus on you. Stop focusing on the actual desire and just focus on you and your life as if your desire is already manifested. You'd have that relief. You'd have that security. You wouldn't feel like there's any more that you need to do because you already did it. So that's what I would do. Focus on me, my internal beliefs, my state. How am I feeling? What am I believing? My thoughts, my feelings, my behaviors, things like that. That's what I would be focusing on. I believe that everything is working for me regardless. Awesome. That's a good place to be at because, again, it comes down to your point of view. So even if you're not seeing anything in your 3D move, tell yourself you are. Because then you'll, again, naturally quantum jump into that reality where, there's movement. Because your consciousness has shifted. So now your perception of the things that you're allowed to see in your 3D, that filtration system, has changed. And now it's going to filter out the movement to where you can see the movement. You can actually perceive the movement. And the 3D is so old. So with the 3D, sometimes there is, I don't want to call it a lag, but as you persist in this new identity, it might not be an instant gratification kind of shift, but you will see that you are on your bridge and you will feel like you are on your bridge. So it's not like one day you affirm I'm married and then all of a sudden you wake up in bed and you're in a completely different house, you're married, you got your specific person with you. It's not like that. It's gradual steps of leading you to that marriage, right? Okay, so I'm going to hop off, guys. That way my iPad doesn't die before the end of this live. If you do want any help, again, I have all the coaching services and the custom subliminals and affirmation tapes linked in the bio. This live will be posted along with other previous lives I post on YouTube every Tuesday and Saturday for all of this content, all different things and whatnot. So go check me out on YouTube if you haven't already. And guys, thank you for being here. I truly appreciate each and every single one of you. And you had some great questions today. I'm glad I was able to touch on the topic of releasing beliefs. And again, if you missed that part of the live, all of this is going to be posted on my YouTube channel this Saturday. Okay? So I'll see you there. And as always, guys, you got this.